Chujo. God! This video, hopefully a short video, today nonetheless focused on this one stud, this one phenom, this one mythical creature, Garp Chujo. And I say because, as some of you folks would know, bars, me and Garp have a certain history, okay? The history will be dubbed as Slow and Old the book.
Slow and old.
People view it as controversial on one side of the aisle here, and that side of the aisle here is the power scale. Folks know, at least you should by now, in my mind, Garp is one of the best written characters in One Piece. I did a video years ago on that, and why I honestly gotta believe that Garp, personally speaking, I'd argue, Garp, I don't think was wrong in not saving Ace during Marineford.
It is what it is.
Okay, maybe that's controversial, some of you probably is. But again, the real quote-unquote issue has always been the power scale. People would say that I do put Garp a little bit too low in the power scale. As of last year, 2022, I put Garp at number 19. So he's in my top 20 strongest characters in the story, but he's still under characters like the current Admirals, Kuzan, Trafalgar Law, Eustace, Captain Kidd, Sengoku, and so on and so forth. However, 2023, a new year. And even though we should be saving this for the 2023 top 30 strongest characters, we're gonna address this now in some ways, because we've pretty much seen what Garp can do on full Lead Island. And what did Garp do? Let's go through a brief refresher of what Garp did on full Lead Island, Blackbeard's current home, his current pad, his current snooze spot. Well, off the rip on 1080, pulls up with the plaza kind of set up for him by Kujaku, by Groose, and by Hibari. He comes out with the Galaxy Impact, and that attack in of itself was super cool. You can see some people that did colorings of it. Looks very, 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 very damn cool. And a lot of people were on that high from the last chapter, 1079, going into 1080, that high maintained because Garp was pulling out the stops. Then we see in the next chapter, 1081, Garp kind of manhandle, it is what it is, Kuzan, where Kuzan does the ice ball, but like Whitebeard before him, this man breaks out of the ice ball and then delivers the blue hole onto Kuzan after blitzing him. Just throws him down into the center of the earth where King Kong is ruling right now, under earth. But then, unfortunately, there is a major skip, and we cut back to this fight in 1087. And in 1087, there was clearly signs of a prolonged battle going down between Garp and the Marines versus the Titanic captains and the pirates on full Lead Island. Off the rip, we see the Titanic San Juan Wolf, who's even bigger than Waratsume, get thrown into the ocean by Garp. Then Garp blocks several attacks by Vasco Shot, taking these pirates that are on fire and throwing them around with these pirate fireballs. And Garp was studly. We can see how there was wounds on his face, his jacket was off, his clothes were messed up, and then he gets stabbed by City of the Rain after Kobe just kind of fumbled the ball. Garp summons his inner Jinbei, and the seismic tosses City of the Rain, coughs up some blood. In comes Kuzan, Ice Glove, they clash. And then in the next chapter, the final stride for Garp Chujo in 1088, Garp Chujo blitzes Kuzan again. Then he proceeds to deliver the Galaxy Divide on the main face of Full Island, Hachinoso, after bouncing across the buildings like he's Mario with star power, like he's Bellamy, which was a crazy lead up to Garp's Galaxy Divide. So that is what Garp did for the most part in full Lead Island from what we saw. So that all being said, now that's all out of the way. Kingu, King of Lightning. Did Garp exceed your expectations? Did Garp go above and beyond, plus ultra My Hero style, surpass his limits Black Clover style? Thing here is this. I'll admit. No.
Why?
Garp did not exceed my expectations. I did a video in March, before Garp did any of this stuff, talking about Haki, Shanks, and Garp. The idea I had in that video was ultimately we're gonna see Garp display some gnarly hockey-related things, hockey feats. And we already knew for a long time that he was a physical powerhouse. But because he himself always stated that he was not the same guy he was back in his prime, by default, I had to remove him from that extreme top echelon that he could have been a part of when he was at his prime, but now no longer. Question was, where did he fit in the grand scheme of things currently? That was always the tricky question. But Oda did do something very interesting in chapter 1087, which does give us more context, overall context, as to how powerful someone like Garp could be, and does somewhat match up to where I had Garp ranked in the last year's top 30, the cross-skill bounties. Now I know, I get it. Bounties are not everything when it comes to determining power. Duh. Clearly. More often than not, it's because we already have the underlying context to why that bounty is BS. Given the fact that someone like Zoro could beat someone like King the Wildfire, or someone like Sanji could be someone like Queen the Plague, and they have lower bounties than the guys they beat, doesn't really add up until you realize that Oda just did that because their bounties equal their birthday. And of course, someone like Buggy having a super high bounty is like, whoa. But is it fair to say that someone like Goldie Roger was a superior combatant than someone like Whitebeard because he had a higher bounty than Whitebeard back in the day? Yeah, sure. You can apply that same logic to someone like, let's say, Whitebeard in the past versus, let's say, a current day Kaido. I would argue that someone like Whitebeard in his prime was superior than Kaido currently. I'd personally argue that. Admirals are given their position because of what? Their combat strength and their combat ability. When a celestial dragon is hurt or attacked by someone, who do they send? They send admirals. Who is watching over St. J. Garcia Saturn right now? Admirals. Robin way back when they fought against, at that point in time, Aokiji for the first time, what did she say? The admirals. The admirals are the greatest military force the world government has to offer. Now, in modern day times, One Piece, that may not apply, fair enough. But we are now giving a value to that military force, and that's 3 billion. Garp equals 3 billion. Garp has the same bounty range as folks like Law, as folks like Luffy, and as folks like Kid. And you have to kind of sort the nuances as to where they lie exactly. Because I would say, given the nuance, it's gonna be Luffy who is ahead of everybody else in that 3 billion pack. Even though Garp was studly, even though Garp was really, really, really damn good, he didn't take down Kuzan. That is also an undeniable fact. Kuzan stands tall after every attack that Garp gives him. The ones that we do see, the ones that we don't see. What Oda gives us is essentially Garp highlights and Kuzan lowlights, but we don't see the full game. The full game is mostly off screen from 1081 to 1087. Kuzan and Garp had jackets on, they were both clean and chilling. All of a sudden, Garp's battleship that was in the middle of the plaza in 1081 is now back in the ocean waters in 1087. Kuzan, clothes are in tatters, he's bleeding and so on, and the same for Garp. So much happened between 1081 and 1087 that we don't see, but the end result here is once again Kuzan still coming at Garp. And it's in 2 chapters, in 1081 and in 1088, where we get signs of Kuzan being soft against Garp. And I know cats are gonna be quick to say, hey, that's cap. Hold on though. In 1081, Kuzan gets told by Garp, listen up, Kuzan, wavering is a sign of weakness. So off the rip, after the ice ball, when Kuzan gets grabbed and gets blue holed, Garp is telling Kuzan, do not waver, which is exactly what Kuzan does in 1088, right before Garp gives him the clothesline from hell JBL style. And then Garp charges him, you soft! And then he gets deaded again by Garp. And some folks might want to say, well, that's sarcasm, he's being facetious, but it's more likely the other way around, given the context of 1081, and when you read particularly the official translation, where anything that would be sarcasm or something, that's out the window. And I know a lot of folks also want to say, well, hold on now, Garp was like 1v1000 or like 1v3. No. Garp wasn't 1v1,000,000. That's not what happened. Garp and the Marines that he led, which include Kujaku, which include Groose, which include Helmeppo and Kobe and Toshigi as well, they were all literally in the middle of the plaza. He had a military force with him, and his military force was engaging in combat for a period of time with the pirates. And at some point in time, they were on the retreat because they already had the slaves protected, and then they go, I guess, from the plaza back to the waters. We even see in 1087, Helmeppo, Groose, Kobe, right next to Garp, and they're also fighting other dudes. They're also fighting randos, like Garp is. But it's that Kuzan and Garp is the main show. If Garp didn't get stabbed by Sea of the Rain, could he escape? Maybe, but I don't think so, because Kuzan was hell-bent making sure that Garp would not escape. And we all know, given his power set, that should be relatively easy, considering how he can freeze the ocean water between islands before in the pre-time skip. If he does an ice age around Garp's ship and it continues on for like hundreds of miles, I mean, yo, it's gonna be much harder for Garp and company to escape. Even though Kobe gets saved and they save the slaves, Garp is the one that gets captured by the Titanic captains, and not a single Titanic captain is defeated. You can argue San Juan Wolf was defeated, thrown into the water, but at the same time, he's back and he's A-OK in 1088. It's like saying that Arlong defeated Luffy when he threw Luffy into the water before Sanji saved Luffy. You can argue, but that's a tough sell, especially when he's mean mugging Garp with the rest of the captains at the end of the chapter. So even though Garp was studly, Garp was cool as hell, Garp is honestly a legend going into full Egghead Island and creating so much damage and so much chaos with the few Marines. That is very impressive for sure. It's only 5 of the 10 Titanic captains, and Blackbeard ain't nowhere in sight. And Garp ultimately gets captured, which is a great bargaining chip for Blackbeard to use against the world government. Absolutely. Way better than Kobe. This is the legendary Garp Chujo. And it does reinstate the threat level of the Blackbeard pirates. Kuzan is great. Again, a lot of lowlights, but the dude is still great. He does, I guess, have one highlight where he's able to match a Conqueror Hockey Infused Punch by Garp with his Ice Glove Hockey Infused Punch. So at the end of the day, Garp was studly, Garp was phenomenal, Garp is a legend, Garp is a G, Garp was cool as all hell. But reality sets in, Garp does save Kobe, and Kobe is gonna be the future of the Marines for sure, obviously. Garp is banking on that. Definitely. But I'm also not going to ignore the fact that his other pupil, Kuzan, who also did the battleship bags like Garp did and was kind of matching Garp physically at times, he's right there. He's right there, standing up tall, even puts that crazy ice spears through Garp's like shoulder and chest. That's like, bro, man, if Garp KO'd Kuzan, bro, like, I would absolutely raise Garp to the top 10. If Garp KO'd Kuzan, he's in my top 10. Guaranteed. Garp did not KO Kuzan. He somewhat KO'd San Juan Wolf, which in the grand scheme of things, is that really that impressive? In the Kuzan flashback, Kuzan KO'd San Juan Wolf off screen. So, again, I don't want to be the party pooper. I don't want to be that guy. But a lot of things in these chapters did confirm my power scale. It did. Especially the bounty stuff. But is he like a Yonko caliber fighter? In the past, probably, but not now. He's older and he's slower. As he himself says again in 1081, he's not that guy anymore. Even though he is the guy, because he was studly, he wasn't the guy, okay? He is like the Jamal Murray of the Denver Nuggets. He's not Nikola Jokic. Aokiji is somebody else. Right now, the Aokiji of the Marines is probably a Kainu. I'll give it a sec. Right now, the Aokiji of the Marines is a Kainu, because a Kainu is probably the strongest Marine at the moment. It is what it is. It is what, I know he got stabbed, I get that. But we all know that in terms of One Piece, how it works in terms of power, when you get stabbed, take big damage, you have lower stamina, but you can still exert your max power. I.e. Luffy gets throttled by Katakuri and has a hole in his abdomen by the Mole Spear, but he can still utilize Snake Man and utilize maximum power. Garp's attacks are still max strength Garp at that point in time, but stamina-wise, he's gotten down the drain because of that stab. But Kuzan still, even after like Conqueror's Hockey blows and blue holes and so on, he's still there. Given all the evidence, Kuzan could be at the center of the Galaxy Impact, and he's eating it. He's coming back. Guaranteed. At the end of the damn day, I think there are gonna be some adjustments. No, for sure. There are gonna be a lot of adjustments in my top 30 strongest characters, for sure. Garp won't be in the exact same spot, but he's gonna be in that same area. Garp was amazing, but again, this has not gone above and beyond my expectation. Knocking out or defeating characters of note is going to be, more often than not, more impressive than destruction or speed feats in of themselves. Knocking out Kuzan with a Galaxy Impact or Divide is going to be far more impressive than just doing a Galaxy Impact and blowing away a few buildings.
It is what it is.
Even though this video is going to be deemed as toxic, controversial, I am a very opinionated dude. I am. It is what it is. I will let you know what I think on things. But if you dislike or like the video, then let me know with a dislike or like. Of course, you can subscribe to the channel and click on that bell after double tapping subscribe to get notifications on updates for this channel. I'm gonna see you cats on the flip side.
See you. Bye bye.